My fiancé said, "You need to feel alone before you'll value me." I replied, "Fine." She expected panic by morning. Instead, I canceled the wedding and let the house go quiet. 10 days later, she was on my porch crying because the silence she planned for me had turned on her. Original post: I'm Garrett, 34. Tessa is 30. We were together over 4 years, engaged for 9 months, and living in a house outside Austin when she decided the best way to prove I loved her was to threaten me with loneliness. The house was mine. Most of the furniture was mine because I bought the place before we met. That never mattered while we were together. I thought we were building a life, not keeping score. Tessa worked in event planning for a hotel group. She was excellent at creating atmosphere. Candles on weekdays and tiny handwritten notes folded into my laptop bag. For a long time, that felt like love. Later, I realized some people are good at romance because they are terrible at steadiness. The last few months before the wedding had been rough in this slippery way. Just constant little tests. If I wanted clarity on vendor balances, I was ruining the mood. If I went quiet during an argument, she said I was abandoning her emotionally. If I pushed back, she said I was making her feel unsafe. Nothing stayed about the actual issue. Everything turned into whether I adored her correctly. The fight that ended it started over the rehearsal dinner menu. I asked whether she had confirmed the final guest count with her aunt, because the caterer wanted numbers by Monday. Tessa sighed and said I was obsessed with logistics because I didn't know how to be romantic once things got real. I said wanting the head count before paying for 30 extra meals was not exactly emotional abuse. That's when her whole posture changed. She put her phone down, crossed her arms, and said maybe I had gotten too comfortable. Maybe I needed to feel alone for once. Then she said the line she thought would sound profound. "You need to feel alone before you'll value me." I was standing at the sink rinsing a glass when she said it, and I remember feeling tired more than angry. Like I had been taking an exam I never agreed to and she had just added another section. So I looked at her and said, "Fine." She blinked. Then came the scramble. "That's not what I mean. You know exactly what I mean. Why are you being like this?" I asked one question. "Are you leaving, Tessa?" She said maybe she should for a few days. Maybe I needed to sit with what this would feel like. Maybe then I'd stop treating her like another line item in my spreadsheets. There it was. Not space because she needed peace. Space as punishment, so I said okay. She laughed first. Then she started throwing random clothes into her weekender bag and said good, maybe by Sunday I'd understand. I asked if she was safe and if she had somewhere to stay. She rolled her eyes and said she wasn't disappearing into the woods, Garrett. "I'm staying with Kendra." Relax. Then she left. The silence afterward was awful. Even when you know someone is manipulating you, the house still feels wrong when they go. Her shampoo was in the shower. Her mug was in the drying rack. The half-finished seating chart was still on the dining table. I hated how quickly missing her started. I hated that I knew I was being tested and still wanted to call her and end it. I called once around 10. Straight to voicemail. Texted once to ask if she got there safe. No answer. Then Brent sent me a screenshot from Instagram. Tessa was at some rooftop bar downtown with Kendra and 2 other women, drink in hand, captioned, "Sometimes distance brings clarity." That was the exact second something in me went still. Because she wanted me worried first. So I opened my laptop and canceled the wedding. Venue first, then florist, then photographer, then rehearsal dinner deposit. I lost $59.60 that night, but waiting until Monday would have pushed the damage much higher. After that I started packing, not throwing, packing, her clothes into labeled boxes. Bathroom stuff into bins, jewelry case zipped shut, shoes wrapped separately. I stacked everything by the front hallway and moved her desk chair into the guest room. Around 2 in the morning I sat on the floor beside the boxes and just stared for a while. Because I did feel alone. That was the part she got right. I just didn't feel alone in the way she wanted. I didn't feel awakened into gratitude. I felt finished. Brent came over the next morning with breakfast tacos and coffee because I had finally texted him back. I told him I hated how much I already missed her. He nodded and said the cleanest thing anyone said all week. Missing someone isn't the same as needing them back. Update 1. It's been about 11 days. Tessa did not spend them quietly learning anything. The first message came the next morning. So are you done performing yet? Then another. I thought you'd miss me more than this. Then finally, wait. Did you actually cancel things? I replied once. The wedding is off. Your things are packed. Let me know when someone can pick them up. She called 14 times after that. Then came the flying monkeys. Kendra texted from an unknown number saying Tessa had only wanted 1 weekend of space, and I was overreacting. Her brother Cole emailed me at work, saying I was making permanent decisions over temporary emotions. Her coworker Alyssa found me on LinkedIn and said Tessa was in a fragile place and needed reassurance, not consequences. I answered none of them. 3 days in, Tessa came back to the house. Doorbell camera caught her standing there in my old college hoodie, looking exactly like the kind of woman movies want you to forgive. I opened the door with the chain on. She asked if I had seriously packed everything. I said yes. She asked if I had really canceled the venue. I said yes. Then she said the sentence that burned off whatever hesitation I still had left. I thought you'd break before I did. Not I made a mistake, not I'm sorry, just disappointment that I hadn't panicked on schedule. I told her that was the problem. She had confused love with leverage. She started crying then, saying she'd only wanted proof that I still saw her, still needed her, still felt something. I told her healthy people don't create absence just to measure someone else's panic. She said everybody needed reassurance sometimes. I said reassurance is asking, not staging an exit and timing the reaction. Then she got angry, said I was cold, said no one ends a 4-year relationship that cleanly unless they were already halfway out the door. That one almost got me because it wasn't clean. She just wasn't there for the messy part. She hadn't seen me sitting on the hallway floor at 2 in the morning surrounded by vendor cancellations and half my future in cardboard boxes. I told her Cole could pick up the boxes, or I would leave them with the garage and Dana from next door could witness it. She stared at me and asked if I really wanted to be alone in that house. I said I'd rather be alone than managed. She left crying hard enough that I almost followed her to the driveway. Almost. That same week work got busy in a useful way. I'm an operations manager for an HVAC distributor, and our branch director asked me to cover a regional transition because 2 senior people left at once. It should have felt like terrible timing. Instead, it saved me. Brent also dragged me back to Thursday night basketball at a rec center I used to play at before wedding planning ate my weekends. That's where I met Mallory, friend of one of his coworkers, smart, dry sense of humor, normal. We talked after the game for maybe 15 minutes. The point is I noticed what easy felt like. Tessa found out I'd gone out with people. Then she started showing up places. Coffee shop, grocery store, a bookstore she had never once liked. Every time, soft voice, little smile, hey stranger, like we were recovering from weather instead of a deliberate manipulation campaign. By the 3rd run in, I knew it was on purpose. That was also when I found the note under my doormat. Do you like being alone yet? I took a photo of it and started a folder on my desktop called Evidence. Update 2 things escalated fast after the note. First, she tried money. Tessa sent a Venmo request for $3180 labeled wedding costs I deserve back. Problem there was simple. Every major wedding payment had come off my card. Every single one. Her contributions amounted to a dress alteration, a few decor items, and invitation upgrades she insisted on. I declined the request and attached a screenshot of the spreadsheet. 10 minutes later, she posted a vague quote about men weaponizing finances when they lose control of women. A mutual friend named Nora texted me asking if I had frozen Tessa out financially after abandoning her during a mental health episode. I sent Nora the screenshots of Tessa telling me I needed to feel alone before I'd value her, plus the bar story from that same night. Nora replied, "Oh, that's not what she told people." Of course it wasn't. Then Tessa showed up at my office. Reception called my extension and said a woman downstairs had dropped off a bakery box and a note and wanted to know if I'd come say hi. I went down because I didn't need a lobby scene in front of clients. She was standing there holding my favorite cinnamon rolls from a place we used to go on Saturday mornings. She lifted the box and said, "I brought peace offerings." I told her to leave. She said she only wanted 5 minutes. I said no. Then she tried the soft voice, said she knew I hated being alone after fights. Said this house and this life had to be getting to me by now. Said maybe we had both proven our point and could stop doing this to each other. I said I wasn't doing anything to her. I was respecting exactly what she had chosen. She asked if I was really going to throw away 4 years because she had one bad weekend. I said no. I was ending things because she turned loneliness into a test and expected me to fail on cue. Security walked her out after that. I photographed the box and the handwritten note before tossing both in the trash. That night her mother called me. I expected anger. I got exhaustion. Denise asked what was actually happening, so I told her. The fight, the bar, the wedding cancellations, the doormat note, the office stunt, the run-ins, the Venmo nonsense, long silence. Then she said she told me you kicked her out during a panic spiral. She did not mention the rooftop bar. I forwarded the screenshots. 5 minutes later Denise texted back, "I'm sorry. I thought that might calm Tessa down. Instead she got more theatrical." 2 nights later, I got a voicemail from an unknown number claiming to be from an urgent counseling center. A woman said Tessa was there, overwhelmed, and specifically asking for me because she didn't want to be alone. The message felt wrong immediately. No clinic name in the callback number. So I called from my work phone, straight to generic voicemail. 7 minutes later another unknown number texted me, "I guess even now you can leave me alone and sleep fine." That was the moment grief turned cold. I saved the voicemail, the text, and every previous message. The next morning I met with an attorney Brent's cousin recommended. Consultation was $900. Cease and desist was another $375. I paid both before lunch. For 5 whole days, nothing happened. Then Brent, Mallory, and I went to a brewery after basketball. It wasn't even a date exactly. Just burgers, beer, dumb rec league stories. For the first time in weeks, I got through an hour without thinking about whether silence could still be weaponized. Then Tessa walked in. I still don't know whether she followed Brent's story or just got lucky. But the second she saw us, she locked onto Mallory like the night needed a target. She walked right over and said, "So this is how you solved being alone." I stood up and told her to leave. She ignored me and looked at Mallory. Then she said, "Careful. He only cares until you ask for anything messy." Mallory said nothing. I told Tessa again to leave. Instead she started crying. Loud. Audience loud. She said I had promised forever and folded the second life got difficult. Said I had replaced her before the boxes were probably even unpacked. Said I was treating one emotional mistake like infidelity because I wanted to feel powerful. Then she knocked Mallory's drink over with her purse while pointing at me. That got the manager. Then security. Then police, because I already had the cease and desist in my email and the earlier report number saved. She got a criminal trespass warning from the brewery. The next morning my porch camera caught her parked 2 houses down from mine. 31 minutes. Then a text came from another random number. "I can see your living room light. Guess you're not that alone after all." That was enough. My attorney filed for a protective order the same day. Final update: the hearing was about 6 weeks after the kitchen argument. By then I had a binder thick enough to make the whole story boring, which is exactly what you want in court. Screenshots. Vendor cancellation receipts. The rooftop bar story Brent had saved. The doormat note. The Venmo request. The office delivery log. The fake clinic voicemail transcript. The brewery incident report, porch camera footage, the text about my living room light. Tessa showed up dressed like moderation itself. Cream sweater, hair pulled back, no drama in the packaging, just the soft, wounded version of herself that always played best with strangers. Her lawyer tried to frame the whole thing as a painful breakup where both people were grieving differently, and I had overinterpreted several attempts at repair. My attorney didn't complicate it. He handed over the screenshots where Tessa explicitly said I needed to feel alone before I'd value her, plus the later messages showing repeated contact after being told to stop. Then the judge read aloud. First, you need to feel alone before you'll value me. Then later, do you like being alone yet? Then I can see your living room light. The room got very quiet after that. The judge asked Tessa if she denied sending those. She didn't. Protective order granted. 1 year. No contact, no showing up at my house, office, rec center, or regular places she knew. When we stepped into the hallway afterward, Denise was standing there. She asked if she could say one thing. I said yes. She said being afraid of ending up alone does not give you the right to make someone earn peace by suffering first. Then she wished me well and walked away. It's been over 3 months now. The regional transition at work became a permanent promotion. The raise almost perfectly covered the wedding losses and legal bill. I sold the extra daycare, donated unopened table stuff, and turned the spare bedroom into an office instead of a storage room for bad plans. The house feels different now. Mallory and I are seeing each other, slowly, normally. No declarations after midnight, no loyalty quizzes disguised as emotional honesty. The first time I told her I still sometimes miss Tessa, she didn't flinch. She just said missing someone after years together is normal. Going back because you miss them is optional. I needed that sentence. Because I did hate being alone at first. I missed ordinary things. Her coffee order. Her laugh from the laundry room. The stupid way she lined up throw pillows like they were under military inspection. I missed the version of her that existed before every disagreement became a performance review on how well I adored her. But here's what I know now. Alone is not the punishment she thought it was. Alone did not break me. Alone gave me quiet, accuracy. Space to hear my own thoughts without somebody turning them into proof of devotion or failure. What Tessa wanted was not connection. She wanted evidence. Evidence that she could leave, watch me unravel, and come back to a man grateful just to have the test end. That is not love. That is emotional extortion with candles. You are allowed to miss someone and still refuse to play their game. You are allowed to sleep in an empty house and still understand that peace is not the same thing as loneliness. You are allowed to be alone without being available. People hear boundary and imagine indifference. That's never been true for me. I felt too much, not too little. If I had felt nothing, I could have played along longer. I could have let her come back, apologize prettily, and reset the whole cycle. Instead, I felt everything clearly enough to know I never wanted to live like that again. The irony is that Tessa was right about exactly one thing. I did need to understand what alone really felt like. It just turned out alone felt a lot safer than being loved conditionally. If you've ever had someone try to frighten you with loneliness so they could feel powerful, comment below and tell me what happened or what you think. Subscribe, like, and share if you want more stories like this.